with full coverage of the Auburn Tigers,
Touchdown, Auburn!
the Alabama Crimson Tide,
Off to the inside, intercepted Alabama. Touchdown,
and everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sports Blitz Live.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Just trying to sit here and get my thoughts about what you and I have just been talking about off the air, and want to welcome everybody into the latest edition of the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air, with you for 2 hours as we are every Saturday morning, and glad that you've joined us out there wherever you might be watching or listening. I may not be up yet. A lot of people on Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, go, we'll catch that later. So, and that's fine. So, but anyway, a lot of people are out and about and moving around, and so we'd love to hear from you if you'd like to jump in, because we got a ton to talk about today. And as we seem to always do on a Saturday, Scott, as we try to catch up on the world of sports. But high school, college, been kind of quiet, hasn't it? But
Yeah, there's not too much going on.
just a few comments thrown at each other this week.
Feel like we've been trying to not just talk about the NIL, but it seems every week there's some tie-in, some story, some coach, some player that provides the opportunity for us to continue to speak about it, and I'm sure we'll be able to do that this morning.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that'd be safe to say. With obviously, if your head has been in a hole, if you have not seen or heard all the stuff going on with the comments back and forth, Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher and Deion Sanders. I'm not going to solely just focus on that, because that horse has been beat about to death this week. But we can kind of take another angle or two on that and kind of go into the weeds about what we've been talking about with NIL and everything that goes with it. And this is what you're going to get more and more of, because nobody really has any rules or regulations to follow. There's some quasi rules out there, but I think people are scoffing at that more than anything, and it's left everything kind of in a lurch and wide open. So we'll get thoughts on that. We'll get some people's comments on that as well as we move forward. I'm sure we'll have Luke at 8 o'clock on with us to kind of give his take. He did on Auburn Blitz yesterday. Had a bunch of people watching and listening yesterday, and talking about the different things that have transpired. Obviously, Jason Caldwell was on yesterday, and he gave his he didn't really dive into it. We talked a lot about Auburn baseball, and Auburn baseball split yesterday with Kentucky. So key game for them today. If they can win this one, it feels like guarantees Auburn a regional host and a top 8 seed if they're able to win this game today. So I was hoping we'd go ahead and get them done yesterday, but didn't get out to a very good start, and Kentucky was able to win that first one. But Auburn comes back and gets the second win as well. Alabama's still fighting. They're playing Arkansas right now, and they had a 7-4 lead in the 8th. I've got to catch that score here just a little bit to see how that one ended up. But I want to start with some high school news. This is time of the year that you deal with some coaches moving around, and at the end of the season and going into spring, there some people come calling. Benjamin Russell's got an opening right now with the absence of Aubrey Blackwell. Pike Road finally fills their vacancy. This job has been vacant for a few months now with Patrick Browning leaving, and they find their coach in Eufaula's Ed Rigby. Eufaula has really kind of been on the up the last 3 or 4 years, and he's been a really good coach for them. And they had Auburn in the spring game and got shellacked, for lack of better terms, but had found out that he had just told them he was leaving right before the game. So I'm sure that was pretty dejecting. And but that's the way this stuff goes down, because we had a lot of calls on Aubrey and his departure from Benjamin Russell right after that happened, and some parents calling, and again, I don't know that there's a perfect time for anybody to leave a job. Sometimes, there's maybe some times that are a little better than others, but for the most part, I don't know that there's a really good time. But Ed Rigby, you're going to start to see some dominoes fall throughout the summer with guys moving around.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a head coach, hopefully, if you're in that position, you don't have to look for him this time of year. It's a little tougher as you get closer to spring or ending spring or getting ready to go into the summer. But as you said, when one new hire happens or one new opening happens, that creates a domino effect. So I'm sure throughout the next couple months, couple weeks, we will see some coaches moving around. And again, when you have openings, especially in some of your top tier programs, it's going to open up some opportunities. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this unfolds.
Yeah, Rigby Bennett, Eufaula since 2018, amassed a 28-18 record while he was there. Again, just from a standpoint of Eufaula is one of those programs that, when they're on a high, they're on a high. They're really, really good. They ride the wave like we talk about a lot of communities do with talent, and especially in public schools, have an opportunity to really go deep in the playoffs. But when they have some down years, they struggle, and that's not uncommon for a lot of programs around the state. But Ed Rigby, with a good record, kind of brought them back into to prominence as far as competition and getting them where they need to be to compete. So he slides over and takes over a very, very good Pike Road program that just won a state championship. So, that's lucrative as well. When you're going out and looking for coaches, and that's an odd thing. You don't usually have to go out and find a coach the year you just won a state championship. That's the oddity about this Pike Road job. And, there's some things that have swirled around this Pike Road position. We're not going to dive into the weeds on that, but some issues there, maybe why, there was a change at the top there. But regardless, he's inheriting a very talented team. And then Luke pops in here this morning already and says, seems like more and more coaching changes happening now in the off season or right before spring practice. I hate to see that trend. That's what you're dealing with. You got a lot of people that are committed now, I guess, to a school year, and they're riding the school year out and then making the change. But like Luke said, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. The timing makes it really difficult. And see, as you and I talked about it, Scott, with Benjamin Russell's job, everybody here, it kind of left everybody disappointed and in a lurch. Well, we're going to go hire a coach too. And then when we go hire a coach, it's going to leave that coach is going to leave a program. So they're going to have to go find, well, that's what Eufaula's dealing with right now. They, Rigby goes to Pike Road. Now Eufaula's left holding the bag. Now they got to go find somebody here in basically the end of May, first part of June, to try to go ahead and put somebody in place, try to start running their program. And so it does put people in tough positions.
Yeah, and again, I will never, say anything about anybody wanting to move to take a better position or to better themselves professionally. But from a institutional standpoint or from a school standpoint, at this time, this late in the game, it does apply a little more pressure to you to have to figure out what you're going to do. But there's a plethora of good coaches around the state, and there's some really good programs that have job openings now. So, again, it'll be interesting to see how the domino effect applies to this coaching search here at Ben Russell, as well as what you're seeing at Eufaula. So I'm sure that you'll see some other programs that are pretty high profile end up having to make a change at the helm as well.
What ends up happening if you have a good coach and he moves to another program and this late in the game, and you have some programs that have no choice but to move a guy up into a position that maybe it's his first shot as a head coach, and maybe he's never been a head coach, been an assistant, and he's going to get an opportunity. We've seen that happen. We saw that happen a few years ago with Kevin Smith at Benjamin Russell. He'd never been a head football coach, and he'd been a long-time assistant here in the program, and had an opportunity to take that job on. And so that's where kind of the coaching carousel kind of trickles down and stops when you have all these people moving around. Is eventually you got guys that are already head coaches saying, no, I'm committed. I'm not moving anywhere at this late stage of the game. So they've got to go find somebody that's an up and comer, that's an aspiring head football coach. And again, just like anything else, if you don't have experience, you don't know how it's going to turn out. So you're going out there grabbing somebody that hasn't jumped deep into the pool before and been the leader.
Yeah, and there's the old adage of at some point the only way you can get experience is to be given the opportunity to get it, and so I mean that plays a part as well. But you're talking about having to make moves, and that's another component of it, especially if you're moving to maybe a smaller community than what you're coming to, having to find housing and doing all those things, getting your kids set up for school. So this late in the game makes it a little more difficult, so you may see some more internal hires than what you would see maybe after the season, a January, February type of opening.
Yeah, I know people are anxious about, in this area here, about the Benjamin Russell job and when a decision might be made on this. I think the applications close on Monday. So a committee has been formed. I know they will be doing due diligence and evaluating those applications and deciding on, the coaches they want to interview for this job. So, but again, I think time is of essence here. You're with this program especially, no spring practice because of this transition and this change. That doesn't mean you don't get to make it up, because the HSA has things built in place, and that Benjamin Russell will get extra time in the fall before everybody else, because you didn't participate in a spring set of practices and a game. They'll have that opportunity, but you want to have that in place to get somebody here to go ahead and start running the program in the off season, because that we all know how important the 7-on-7s and everything else is that goes on. And Scott, last year, just for example, Benjamin Russell was in a 7-on-7 about every other week during the summer, or as many as you could participate in. So, you got to get in there and get all that scheduled now. There's a lot of planning and stuff that goes into those kind of things. So you're right, and Luke's right, and I think we all agree that this is not the time of year, but sometimes you don't know what set of cards you got to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, either way, and not to just make this about Ben Russell, but I can assure you that the people that are on the committee, as well as from the administration standpoint, going to do everything they possibly can to bring in the best candidate for the open position here.
We're up against our first break of the program, but we're just getting started. So give us a call, 256-234-6221, if you'd like to be part of the program, or comment away on our Facebook page at Sports Blitz Live, at Sports with a Z. And you can comment along with us throughout the show. Stay tuned, more Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill and Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Russell Do It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our Best Rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto. Central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Don't be caught in a dirty vehicle. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing will have your vehicle or boat looking like brand new in no time, and you'll be back driving in style. They specialize in detailing, paint correction, gel coat restoration, and ceramic coating. Take it to the professionals at Lake Martin Mobile Detailing. Call them today at 256-794-2328 or stop by and see them at 702 McCarty Road in Dadeville. Mention this ad and receive $10 off. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing for your cleanest vehicles around.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. I want to go back and kind of look at what we were talking about. And if you want to go back and look and see what Eufaula has done over the last 4 years, I gave you the record. Rigby's first year at Eufaula, he was 5-6. And then he had 2 9-3s in the middle. And then last year was 5-6 and lost in the first round to Huey, a very good Hueytown team that we ended up seeing in the state championship game that ended up losing. But a very good Hueytown team that they got beat 50 to, I can't remember, 50 to 13 or something like that in the first round. But again, that right there is exactly what I just said without looking at the records before. He'd been there 4 years, came in, had a little subpar 500 season, and went on 2 9-3 runs and had good seasons, and then kind of went backwards again last year. It's not that Ed Rigby isn't a good coach. I mean, it's not that the players aren't playing hard one year versus another. It's just what you have to deal with, and when you lose key players in key positions, sometimes you just don't replace those guys. So, now Rigby moves over to Pike Road, which, again, is a very young school that just won a state title, Scott. But as we all know, too, and we've read, with players moving around, if you look at Eufaula, where they are, there's not a lot of places for people to move from. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of, schools in that tight-knit area like you would be in Montgomery or Mobile or Huntsville or Birmingham or higher densely populated areas where you have a bunch of schools within a very small, mile radius. And so, look, let's just be honest about it. I mean, Pike Road is fairly new, and to achieve the kind of success they've, achieved, they've had people move into their community, and they've had people shifting around to send their kids to that school. And that's how it works. And you got more to pick from. Look, it's been going on in Birmingham forever. Since Hoover's been on their run, and that's the freedom. And you move into the district, you can go to school there.
Yeah, and again, player mobility. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, when you're like a community, like a Eufaula, or now even in Alex City, when you're going to have these cyclical years because unless you have some type of huge industry or something, or a large job market, or just your schools are just exceptional, it's hard to get people to consistently move in. So when you're having to compete against the Auburns or all the Birmingham area schools, all the Huntsville and Mobile area schools, it's going to be a little more difficult to compete. But at the same time, when you're on that run like Ben Russell had, a decade ago with Danny, when you had 4 straight years of 10-win seasons, you have to capitalize on those opportunities because you don't know the next time you'll have that level of talent consistently. So that's part of it. That's what makes high school athletics fun, is that, you're dealt the hand that you have from a community standpoint, and these teams that have been able to consistently be at the top, kudos to them for even after having to replenish, they still have an opportunity to compete.
Yeah, they inherit or Rigby inherits a program that's won 3 consecutive region championships. Just won the state championship this past year. If you look at their schedule coming up for the 2022 season, again they move up from 5A to 6A because of the reclassification, and their schedule should be interesting. On the 16th of September, they go to Eufaula. So Rigby will go right back to where he left 5 weeks into the season. But they'll start off with Hillcrest Tuscaloosa at Hillcrest, and then they'll have a out-of-state school come in. Dade Christian from Florida will come in on August the 26th, and then they'll have Wetumpka, Sidney Lanier, and Eufaula before their open date on the 23rd. And then their last 5 will be Park Crossing in Russell County at home, and then they'll travel to Stanhope and Carver, and then Booker T. Washington at home to close out the regular season. But some very good teams. Carver's going to be one to watch this year for sure. Loaded with D1 talent, 2 5-star guys on their roster down there, and that's another program. Carver is apt to lose or apt to win 2 games one year and come back and win 12 the next. I mean, it's because of the wave of talent, and we've seen Carver be extremely good. We know Stanhope has been on the rise here lately, and Wetumpka has a brand new football coach as well, and so there's a lot of new pieces that we're going to be watching this fall, Scott, with the teams that we follow around here, and we'll blink and it'll be time to get started.
Yeah, and this is obviously always our favorite time of the year as you get ready. Not right now specifically, when you're getting ready for high school football and fall camp. So a lot of new that we'll see, but I like this year also by being a reclassification year. This is the first year with some of these new regions. It'd be fun to see some matchups we haven't been able to see in a while, especially here locally. The Homewood Ben Russell rivalry was one of the top in the state during the early 2000s, and even into the mid 2000s as well. So it'll be fun to have that game back on the schedule.
Yeah, you shift that's another reason they do the reclassifications, and you shift geographical regions. HSA making a change in the baseball structure of the playoffs moving forward. They'll be in region play. They won't be in area play anymore, and I think that's really good. I think that's an opportunity for more teams to get in that have had good years, whereas in area play, you lose the wrong couple of games. And, I'll never forget a few years ago, Smith Station was ranked I think they were ranked number 1 in the state and they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they had to correct, and I'm glad to see that they did that. So, if you got a comment or question about some of these coaching changes, people moving around, give us a call, 256-234-6221, or you can comment away on Facebook Live. But from a standpoint of looking at some of these regions, if you look at Benjamin Russell's, you're going to see some of these teams that we've been familiar with, but we haven't played in a little while. And as you just mentioned, Briarwood, Homewood, you do keep Pelham, some teams that you've played here in your region the last few years. But again, everybody says, well, what region would you rather be in? It was a choice to be in this region with Pike Road, Wetumpka, Stanhope. Well, basically what they did is split it up because that was part of our region, and now they with teams moving up into classifications, it changes where people go. So we had basically 2 routes that we could have been put in, and we were in the more northern part of this. So I'm excited about it. Not that I think we would have competed in either region, but you get to look at and see some of these teams that we hadn't seen and renewing some old rivalries.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Those Homewood and Briarwood games when I was in high school were some of the most fun that I can remember. Those were the big time games. That's when, both schools really, or all three schools, had top tier collegiate talent. A lot of people going on to play the SEC schools. So hopefully with this renewing of the rivalry, we'll also see some renewing of top tier talent.
Yeah, and I don't know how many coaching vacancies there are right now in the state of Alabama. We ran those down last year, and I remember going through a list of the new head football coaches, and there was a ton of turnover last year. And now, with an Aubrey Blackwell who takes himself out of the state of Alabama and goes to, Mississippi, that's one less coach that you got here that went somewhere else. So, again, that's your coaching pool, and you'll see some guys move up from assistant jobs. Up against another break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Growing your business isn't just one thing. It's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local Cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, their compact equipment provider.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto, central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center provides optimum care for the whole person. Dr. Dimo Popov specializes in the prevention and diagnosis of high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, and acute and chronic conditions. Our weight loss clinic offers lipo shots and a guide to healthy weight loss. Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center, where lifestyle changes are made.
When the Lake Martin area wants country, it turns to Kalijah Country 97.5. Lake Martin's best country.
Goes like one margarita, two margarita, three margarita shot.
If the house just keeps on winning, I got a wild card up my sleeve.
Now his grandpa's never died.
Lake Martin's best country is on Kalijah Country 97.5.
Re-elect Richard LeGrand Sr., Lee County Commissioner, District 5. Why? Work with the Beauregard community with the EF4 tornado devastation to sort through debris, help restructure lives for the people that lost homes. Establish Juneteenth as a paid holiday in Lee County. A playground at Lochapoka to include 4 acres with a playground, service, organized trash collection on Lochapoka roadsides. Whether you vote absentee ballot or you go to the polls, please re-elect yours truly, Richard LeGrand Sr., Lee County Commissioner, District 5. Paid for by friends of Richard LeGrand Sr.
For more than 40 years, Ingram Equipment Company has helped companies, towns, and cities with their dirtiest, most challenging jobs by providing the very best equipment and by helping them keep in tip-top working condition. IEC represents leading manufacturers such as Heil garbage truck bodies, Timco sweepers, Step pothole patchers, and many more. We proudly support all athletes and teams that compete across the state and wish them good luck this year. Ingram Equipment Company, ingramequipment.net.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Can't do this show or our programming without those two great partners. Have been with us for a long, long time. And, again, you can show your appreciation by frequenting their businesses. And, again, if you have heating and air issues or you need a new heating and air unit, call on Sunshine Heating and Air. They'll take care of you. Kevin Kill and his staff do a phenomenal job. They've been handling all my stuff for years now and all my family stuff. And JR Sports Bar and Grill been with us really since day one. That's been well over, I think, 17 years now. So, yeah. It's been a lot of water under the bridge. But JR Sports Bar and Grill, that tells you enough about their business and how long they've been, and even longer before they joined with us. They'd been an established restaurant here in this town, and they've done so much for this community and surrounding communities and schools in the area. So make sure you go visit them as much as you can as well. Great food, great atmosphere. So glad to be partnered up with those two businesses as well. So just kind of going around the horn here in this first hour, talking about high school baseball, softball coming to a close, and Phoenix City, we talked about it in 7A. You looked at it, and they were able to knock off of Auburn last week, and that was a great Auburn high school team that had won. I think 2 or 3 consecutive, or two, and then had won 3 in the last 4 years or whatever. So you start to see some of these teams, and again, you saw Auburn High School in their spring football game over Eufaula. I think I didn't see the final of it, but early on it was like 55-14. And again, of course, you find out that Rigby leaves and goes to Pike Road, so there's probably some stuff that went on there. But as far as players kind of being caught off guard, maybe not focused, whatever. But anyway, Auburn High School is loaded right now. Maybe would you say Auburn High School, maybe the overall from each program standpoint, basketball, football, baseball on the boys' side, maybe one of the strongest, well-rounded schools?
I would have to, yeah. I mean, every sport they're competing at the highest level. I mean, there's some schools in Birmingham and Huntsville who are very similar, but I would say from an overall athletics department standpoint, Auburn probably is in the top 1 or 2.
And what they've been able to build, and you look at it from a standpoint of where they've been, just 25 years ago, and but that goes hand in hand again, Scott, with population increases and an influx of that area of the state growing. And we look at 2 regions in the state right now in 7A that are really dominant, and the one that is in the Birmingham area with Hoover, Oak Mountain, Thompson, that group, and then the Phoenix City, Enterprise, Auburn, now Opelika in that region. Some really good teams there.
Yeah, and I think it's good, and we talk about it, especially when it comes to playoff time. We start looking at pairings, which classification is the toughest and all that. I still think that 7A football, 7A in general, but 7A football is probably the most competitive, has to be in the Southeast, like in Alabama. I don't know, the amount of coaching talent that you have, the amount of players that are going D1, the amount of state championships that are being won from a set amount of schools has been fun to see, and I think you're just going to continue to see that happen, and it'll be interesting to see what happens once the new school in Auburn comes about. That probably would be another 7A school, truthfully. So you'll have all of those teams competing, and again, you tie that to the population growth, job growth, economic development opportunities. Those are some of the ways you build your community in conjunction with the success of your school system.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. To kind of give an update, the 7A state championship series got underway yesterday, and Hewitt-Trussville knocks off Phoenix City 6-0 in the first game. So they'll come back for game 2 today as they get ready to close out things up in Oxford at Choccolocco Park. And now over at Jacksonville State as they move over to Jacksonville State University to play these games. They'll be that game starts today at 10 o'clock, and then if a game 3 is needed, they'll have a 30-minute break and they'll start back. So that'll be the 7A. Hartselle wins the 6A championship, knocking off Pelham, and they get a sweep there. 2 games. This Hartselle program they're another program that we talk about from time to time, and Hartselle seems to be good in football, competitive in football, baseball, and basketball as well. It's kind of a trend that we talk about, pretty consistently. So Bayshore Christian wins the 1A championship. They knock off Lindsay Lane there in 2 games, so a sweep from that standpoint. So just kind of going through and talking about some of these, these championship games. Some of these teams we've never talked about, never heard of.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that 1A classification game you just mentioned. I hadn't heard of one of those schools. So we typically see a lot of that, and when you start seeing these state championship pairings
Right.
and deep in the playoffs, you get some names you haven't heard of.
Well, no shock here, but it was a tough road this time. Russellville in 3 games knocks off Hopeville to win the 5A championship. And if you've seen Russellville's facilities, where they play and the amount of history around that, but Hopeville had one heck of a season.
They did.
That team was loaded and was playing outstanding baseball. It felt like they had a really good shot, and they did. Ended the season 34-7, and took 3 games, went the distance there in 5A to get that one done. So in Class 2A, GW Long, I know you're shocked, in a sweep of Decatur Heritage. They get the win there. They had the 800th baseball championship to their trophy case, but I mean that's part of it. And in 4A, Mobile Christian wins over Etowah. Mobile Christian had one heck of a season at 33-4. Scott ends up winning that championship series there and knocks off Etowah. So Mobile Christian, we've seen them here recently win a state championship in football. Again, this is a common thread, and you see programs and teams that have one successful team in their school, and then all of a sudden another one, and then another one, and it's on the girls and the boys' side. So it's iron sharpens iron, and makes everybody better. And they I guess challenge each other within the school, and you get tired of football getting all the glory, so you step up what you're doing. We saw that with Fife a few years ago when they won a state championship in basketball. So, but that's the wrap on high school baseball here in the state, and that's your state champions there. Except for 7A, they'll have game 2 coming up today at 10 o'clock. That is Phoenix City, Hewitt Trussville. Hewitt Trussville leads that series 1-0. If Hewitt Trussville wins, they win the 7A championship. If Central Phoenix City still looking for their first ever state title,
Which is wild to me.
I mean,
that entire area when we were coming through school, I mean, Russell County and Phoenix City were the teams. And even like Etowah was one of those teams too back in the day that was really, really good. But
and they still are.
Surprised that, at this point Phoenix City hadn't got one. But maybe today if they can get this game at 10 and force it to a game 3. Yeah.
Strategy. Don't know how coaches, have their pitching. Don't know what they did there.
What would you do? Do you?
I'm trying to get a win.
You go ahead and
right
win
out the
that.
game,
Yeah.
right out of the gate. Because you put yourself, if you roll the dice and you put yourself in a position to where, you've got to win 2 in a row, just puts a lot of pressure. Not to say that, regardless, you got to win 2 ball games, but you sure feel better about yourself
Being one up, yeah.
if you get a win. But I watched Auburn in College World Series in the past in 1997 when Hal Berry decided to start Brian Hudson against Stanford instead of putting Tim Hudson out there. And they lost, and he comes back and he brings Hudson against Rice Auburn run rules, Rice beats them 10-0. Well, Hetson or whoever could have pitched against Rice, and we would have been fine. Now you got to come back and play Stanford again, and then they end up knocking us out of the College World Series. And I just remember all of us talking about, man, why did he not start Tim Hudson and get in the winner's bracket? You know, I think you do everything you can to try to get that first win, and it gives confidence, and it puts more pressure on the other team.
I agree.
Up against another break. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
You already know the power and reliability of a Mahindra tractor. Get ready to meet their ATV and UTV lines. Haul more and tow more. Do more. Reaching speeds up to 60 miles an hour. Models have a 12-inch ground clearance and the ability to haul up to 1,200 pounds. There's a Mahindra utility vehicle and a model specifically to get the job done. Test drive today at Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor. Serving Tallapoosa, Coosa, Clay, and Talladega counties. 256-392-3613.
Hi, I'm Scott Blake.
I'm Angie Richardson, and we are the loan team here at Movement Mortgage.
Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you've gone through the process before,
Our mission is to help you move forward with the purchase of your future plans. Call me at 256-397-2771.
or call me at 256-794-1003.
Scott Blake, NMLS number 527945. Angie Richardson, NMLS number 216556. Movement Mortgage supports equal housing opportunity, NMLS number 39179. For licensing information, please visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hey guys, this is Nate Paz with Airport Motors.
I'm Connor Branch with Fairway Auto Brokers in Opelika, Alabama.
And this is your first ever Lake Martin Summer Car Blitz.
That's right, Lake Martin. Airport Motors and Fairway Auto Brokers is teaming up for the very first Lake Martin Summer Car Blitz. Make sure to check out either website for the very best selection of pre-owned luxury trucks, SUVs, and sedans in East Alabama. Get pre-approved in minutes online and make sure to use the keyword Summer Blitz in the comment section for $500 off internet price. That's keyword Summer Blitz.
Castelluccio Fine Italian Dining in downtown Alexander City is rapidly becoming the region standard for Italian cuisine, as well as hand-cut filet mignon, fresh Gulf seafood, and the area's best Italian import wine selection. We offer true old-world charm with unmatched hospitality. Like Castelluccio Fine Dining on Facebook to keep up with daily lunch and dinner specials. Also new, we offer catering for your family and small business, so call and order. Castelluccio, downtown Alexander City, where the only thing that rivals the flavor is the dining experience.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense.
Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Give us a call, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. Luke Robinson will be with us at 8 o'clock, and I'm sure we'll get all we need from the latest in the Jimbo, Nick Saban situation, which really ain't a situation. It's just two grown men really kind of going at one another, accusing each other of doing what we all know they've all been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hilarious thing.
That
I mean,
has been
we all
the
try to act like we're offended that somebody say, but on both sides. I mean, you know, Jimbo wants to act like they miraculously just picked up 7 5-stars. And Nick Saban is a little mad, a little hurt because he didn't finish first in recruiting. Let's just be honest about it. And I said this yesterday. They're at this little, World Games pre-thing, and I'm sure he didn't want to be there already. And so he was already mad about that. And so at the end of the day, you know, somebody sets him off. And I told Andy, I said, just like the Hal McRae interview several years ago in the office, you know, you're not going in trying to start anything, and you're not going in expecting to blow somebody up or go off. But, you know, that Hal McRae interview started off calm, man, sitting at his desk, kind of giving you know, a little synopsis of what went on in the game, and reporter asked a question. He didn't really say anything off the cuff. The guy just said, hey, well, you know, why didn't you substitute that guy for George Brett? And he said, man, you know, and it's just the one thing that, you know, it's probably sitting there going, I know somebody in this room, some idiot's going to say something to me about what move I made. And when they do, I'm going to lose it. And so he said, no, I ain't got time for all this, you know, and starts flipping the you know, recorders and stuff off the desk. And heck, before you know it, he's twisted up in a phone cord and has thrown a phone, hit somebody in the face, and they're bleeding. And he's cussed everybody from that room all the way down the hall.
The amount of times that you and I have watched that video.
It don't. I mean, if you haven't seen the Hal McRae meltdown video back when he was with the Royals, you've missed out. Yeah. So, but again, it didn't escalate to that level with Nick Saban. But Nick Saban basically was like, I'm tired of y'all telling me about, you know, Texas A&M being #1 recruiting. They just, all right, if y'all want to get down to brass tacks, you know, they bought everybody on the roster, which everybody goes, well, what have you been doing? You know, that's the first thing that kind of the rebuttal. And then once you open that door and you walk through the door, then you got to deal with it. And it's just part of it.
I mean, I didn't think that there was a team or any competitive things on the field that would make Nick Saban not want to coach anymore, like that would get him out. I thought he, you know, as long as it keeps going how it's been going, he's going to be there. NIL may be the one thing that makes him want to leave a little bit early, because this is the type of things that you're having to do now, which is crazy if you think about it, because, you know, we all know it's been happening, but, you know, where maybe I could have paid a player, you know, a player was $100,000 was a lot, you know, coming up now you can't even get in the door for $100,000. So I think that is playing a part. But, you know, and I know Luke will have it on it. I didn't have a problem at all with what Saban said until he made it about A&M specifically. Now he could have said
Jackson State too. I mean,
I don't even know how they got in the picture. I mean, I saw the point he was trying to make.
Because they got the #1 player in the country to come to you know, and I think Deion has kind of been stressing that, you know, and I think several HBCUs have been saying, look, you know, we're not getting a fair shake. Our, you know, African-American players aren't getting a fair shake at these big, huge Division I Power 5 schools. They need us a heck of a lot more than, you know, we need them. And I think Deion's push is like, we can get some of our top players to come and play for us. And I think the jab was with Nick Saban is, you know, he wasn't to go on there unless you paid him $1 million. And, you know, with the transfer portal and everything like this, the first thing everybody said when he signed with Jackson State is, well, he'll just be there a year, and then somebody will come snatch him up. And the possibility of that happening is very true with the way college football is set up right now. But then now you got a spat going in that direction. And, you know, it's odd because Deion and Nick did all these Aflac commercials, all that kind of stuff. But going back to Jimbo Fisher, if you're going to call a press conference, let me just say this. If you're going to call a press conference and lose your mind and go off on a tangent, well, then have some evidence. Because all you did was blow smoke. All you did was come out and just be, throw accusations and name call a guy that you worked for. And you said, look, you want to talk about dirty, you want to talk about this? I'll tell you, well, then tell us. And I think Luke called yesterday and explained that on Auburn Blitz. He said, he was a former coach. He was talking about go talk to all these former coaches. And, in the whole heat of the moment, nobody asked him to say, well, look, you were an assistant. Why don't you elaborate? Why don't you go ahead and tell us? I think it was a missed opportunity, but I think the next time Jimbo Fisher's in front of the mic, somebody's going to ask him that. Say, okay, you and Nick Saban kind of got into it. You accused him of doing all this over the past however many years. What is it that he's been doing?
Yeah. I mean,
and then what's he going to do at that point? I can tell you what he's going to do. He's not going to say anything because he'd be throwing stones at his own house just like any coach out there.
That was my whole thing.
Saying?
Like, it really, like, bringing it up only brings spotlight on your program.
And I'm not defending Nick Saban on this.
Brett's become a Say Bear.
No, I haven't. But what I'm saying is I think we all know what's been going on.
Yeah.
And Jimbo Fisher calls his press conference. Well, then give us some information. You know, everybody's been sitting out here going, well, we know this has been going on. Okay, so you just told us it's going on. You want to talk about how dirty Nick Saban has been during his career, and he acts like he does everything above board. You know, and I think Andy brought up a good point in what Nick Saban said that was accusatory toward Jimbo Fisher. He's like, well, we did it. And Saban said this. He said, well, they bought everybody on their roster. We did it the right way. So when you say it that way, you're insinuating they did it the wrong way.
Well,
right?
To his point, I think what he's saying is if you look at obviously NIL was a part of how they got these players at A&M. What deal has been like? What have you seen about any, partnerships, anything? At least with Alabama, that most of the players that were receiving NIL money, whether they were being paid fair market value or they were partnering with different businesses or different entities to be able to be a spokesperson for them or whatever it may be. So there were some deals at least set up for some of these players. I hadn't seen a thing about Texas A&M. So clearly you did what you had to do to get them there, which I'm okay with that.
Spend 20-30 again next year?
That's where it comes in. And also,
are you just going to take a few years off? I mean, you can't do that.
But if I gave $500,000 to help support this collective, or bring in the recruits or whatever, and you don't win that, the pressure now is not even on the players anymore. I think this puts more pressure on the coaches because you went out and said, hey, I need some help to be able to compete.
I think you're exactly right.
So what has in 2 years, if they're not competing for an SEC championship, you just wasted all that money.
2 years. I mean, you put what they put on the field this coming year. Everybody's expecting them to jump to the top this year, but here's the deal. The sustainability part of all of this is accurate. And look, if the stock market continues, ain't nobody gonna have any money to give anybody anyway. So all these investors, but let's just say you are one of those big boosters and you supply a substantial amount of money on this round, they gonna come back to you and ask for that same amount. At what point does that dry up? You go, man, I can't keep giving you $5 million every year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we're not win. I mean, what's the end goal? Because
but then also what's the end goal? Not to cut you off, and I'm not going to say it was going to happen at Auburn because Auburn just had a major influx of money come in with the name of the Auburn Arena. But we did lose Julian Phillips to Tennessee, and maybe he wasn't as top of priority as Traore and some of these other guys in Broome. And maybe Tennessee said, look, we can't get those guys, so we're going to put all our eggs in this basket. And we don't know how all that plays out. But what happens when your set of boosters at your school won't play the game that other boosters, and you're a top coach, a la Bruce Pearl or Nate Oates or whoever, and you can't get the players you need to be successful? At what point in time you go, well, I ain't hanging out here no more. All that has an effect on everything involved. So up against the break. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
You don't have to ask who, what, or why. Who's Diner is the go-to place for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Conveniently located at the corner of Highway 22 and 280 in Alex City. Who's Diner offers the best meals and the best deals in town. Try our fresh, made-from-scratch pancakes, chicken salad, Philly cheesesteak, or the Who Burger. It doesn't get any better than who? Who's Diner, of course, on the corner of Highway 22 and 280. Who's hungry?
Fast, fresh, and friendly. That's the Allen Brew Market mission to our customers on the go. Allen Brew Markets of Talladega County fuel your vehicle and you with the best coffee, drinks, snacks, and food so you can get your day on the fast track. Allen Brew Markets are always convenient with Sylacauga locations on Main Avenue, Highway 280, and Old Birmingham Highway. Allen Brew Markets has everything for the family on the go, and we're always brewing up great specials. Fast, fresh, and friendly. Our guarantee to you.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider, Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
Why is Sarah Automotive Group on Highway 280 in Sylacauga the place for the best deals on your new ride? 3 compelling reasons. 1. With 3 full new car dealers on one lot, you get the best in comparison and incentives on Fords, Hondas, and Nissans. Unmatched selection. 2. Sarah pays over market value for your trade to maintain East Central Alabama's best pre-owned vehicle selection and sale. And 3. The Sarah Automotive price won't be beat and delivers lower payments and huge value on your next buy. Shop online or on Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown. Very short segment here. We've got to get to the top of the hour. We'll have Luke on with us here at 8 o'clock to talk a little bit about what we were just diving into. Just kind of a recap of the first hour. Pike Road names their head coach now, Ed Rigby from Eufaula High School. Was at Eufaula for 4 years. Had a 28-18 record, I believe, was what his record was, and he comes over and inherits a team that just won a state championship. So dominoes falling all over the state. When you got some of these vacancies, Benjamin Russell looking for a new head football coach. They had their coach leave and go to Jackson Academy in Mississippi a couple of weeks ago. That search is underway. Now Eufaula's looking for a head coach. This is going to continue on through the summer, and I think, you know, if you're going to have to look for a coach, you'd love to know now. Yeah. You know, and get this done rather than, you know, some of these coaches are going to be leaving in June, but because in high school, it's not like you know, some of the other ones with college and all that. I mean, the summer program is essential because of the 7-on-7s, and you know, you got to get in and build relationships, acclimate, got to get those things scheduled. Then you got to get ready for fall camp, which starts in basically July because you start playing football in August, mid-August. So very short timetable for these schools to have to deal with this kind of stuff. But it is what it is. So the dominoes fall when one guy moves from one place to the next. So Pike Road's had an opening there for several months. Now they fill that role with Ed Rigby from Eufaula. Now Eufaula's looking. So Benjamin Russell, I think the search, the applications will be open through this coming Monday. And then I think they're going to try to move swiftly, Scott, to try to get the ones that they want to interview and get them in here to talk to them. So see how it plays out.
You have to be expedient in this process, primarily because of the timing and the time frame in which you have to get your team prepared. And again, if I'm a spouse, you know, you're talking about the spouses also involved. You know, you have to try to find them a job.
These are assistants. These are staff members that you're having to move in, and you got to build a relationship with a player, basically, that you're going to go in 2.5 months and put a product on the field and go try to play games.
It's going to be tight. No, it's going to be tight, but I do think that if you're a school that's fortunate to still have some assistants or some former coaches who are there to help assist in making sure that everything's being done in the meantime or in the interim,
Right.
I think that you'll be okay. But you do want to try to get somebody in as quickly as possible so you can get going and start implementing your style of play and your system.
David says, who are the candidates you are hearing? Chase Horn would make it interesting. No doubt. I haven't been privy to the list of applicants, so I don't really know. Anything I've heard is purely speculative at this point. Chase Horn is definitely an up-and-comer that's been an assistant here at Benjamin Russell under his dad, now up at Central Clay under his dad. At what point in time does he decide he wants to branch out and try to be a head football coach? Is he going to sit it out and wait for his dad to retire and just stay at Central Clay, or does he want to go try, to be a head coach somewhere else? So we'll see. I don't know if I don't even know if he's applied. Don't know if he's interested at all. Haven't talked to him, so I wouldn't know. But I'm assuming that Benjamin Russell, like we always do, get a good pool of applicants. I think the applicant pool is somewhere around, I heard 35 to 40 applications. It will close out on Monday. And this job pays well. That's another thing. When you pay well, you're going to get applications. You're going to get, interest from top coaches, as it should be. So we'll have to wait out and see on that and see how it all plays out. We're up against the top of the hour break. Stay tuned. More to come right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
I'm Jimmy Goree with Goree's Furniture. We would like to invite you to come shop our huge selection of furniture. But if you don't have time, we have over 2,000 items you can have shipped directly to your home. Go to GoreesFurniture.com, look for 48-hour quick ship. Shop, click, ship, it's just that easy. You can shop us here, or you can shop us online, only at Goree's Furniture.
Your express way to saving.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
Don't miss the Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show presented by America's First, May 20th through the 22nd. It's the South's largest in-water boat show featuring pontoons from Bennington, Sun Tracker, Silver Wave, Bentley Starcraft, and Avalon. Plus fishing boats from Carolina Skiff, Tracker, Ranger, Nitro, Express, wake boats from Mastercraft, and more. Fireworks Friday night, lake lifestyle vendors, live music, and a free concert Saturday night featuring country superstar Tyler Farr. Admission is free. Go to LoganMartinLakeFest.com.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto, central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Hour number 2 here. I want to go to the phone lines, welcome in our co-host, Luke Robinson, who is in Ohio preparing for his son's graduation. And, Luke, yesterday was Senior Honors Day here in Alex City. My son and his senior class participated in that, and they'll graduate next Friday. This is all just surreal, but the two of us having senior boys in our group here, we've watched our kids grow up together, and I know Truett moved off, but it's just kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it really is. I don't feel like a guy who should have a graduating senior, but here we are.
Yeah, I told everybody that yesterday as well, and you're right. But time rolls on, and I know Truett will be moving to Arizona State, and I know that's exciting times for you. Let's dive into this this talk, because this has been beat 6 ways to Sunday at this point now, and basically it was just coaches throwing shade at each other, and that's really what it sums up. We all know that things have been going on for forever, and now NIL has brought more things to light and made it more difficult for some, and has exposed some things that we already knew were going on. But Nick Saban's quote, and then Jimbo Fisher fires back a shot across the bow, and here we are. But like I said yesterday when you called on the Auburn Blitz, and I said this morning, if Jimbo's going to hold a press conference, and the thing he should have done is come out with a lot of details. Instead, he had nothing to offer from that standpoint other than pointing a finger back at Nick Saban saying, well, look, you said I'm doing this. Well, you're doing it too. And that's really what it sums up to be.
It really does. And like I said, I don't think any coach who's ever won any game or even lost a game in college football really wants to point too many fingers. It's too far gone in that regard. Right, but I think Jimbo, now that the smoke is cleared a little bit, I have no problem saying, number one, that Nick Saban did a little bit of overreach, and I understand the point he was trying to make, but I think that he probably just should have left some names out of it. Now, that being said, I thought Jimbo took it up about 4 levels when it really didn't need to be, and I think Jimbo could have really done some stuff to help his own personal reputation if he had handled it a little bit different. I've learned this enough. I'm almost 50 years old. Whenever somebody starts shaking the way he's shaking, and then they throw out a bunch of ambiguous insults, and we don't want to look into his past. Ask anybody that's worked for him. Well, you worked for him. Whenever you start throwing out little innuendos like that, but you don't really have anything to back them up, it tells me you've got plenty to hide. And he's also struck a nerve. And I just feel like Jimbo, now that the smoke is cleared a little bit, Jimbo has come out really looking more of a jerk than ever before. And frankly, I don't think he had a great reputation before this. I think it's kind of ironic now that, because he came out and said, I've never been accused of doing this. He got Texas A&M on, probation the moment he got there. I mean, it wasn't a big probation, but it was probation. He also had the Jameis Winston incidents, and I use that plural because there were several of them. And he coached at a school that Florida State. Another one of his mentors was Bobby Bowden, who certainly had his fair share of issues. So, again, I felt like it was kind of odd for him to take some of the stances he did, not on top of the fact that to call somebody else a narcissist when you're on the stage by yourself with a microphone, you called a press conference, nobody else gets to talk but you, and you're going to call somebody else a narcissist? I mean, again, the hypocrisy was pretty wild. But that being said, I thought this is why I think it was even more a calculated thing by Nick Saban. I don't think it was calculated for him to overreach the way he did. I don't think that at all. I think he took it a little too far, and I think he knows that. But he came back and apologized, and he went on Sirius XM, much to his credit. He didn't take a few days to think about what he wanted to say. He went on Sirius XM that afternoon and talked about it. And I thought he did a really good job. And he said, look, the bottom line is we can do it this way too, meaning Alabama. We can do it the way that I perceive Texas A&M to be doing it, which is to promise kids all this money or even commit money to them before they get there. That's no problem.
Ed, hey, Luke. Ed's got a question, and he said if I haven't, he said he's hoping he didn't miss your segment. He said if you can ask him, he said, does he think A&M do you think A&M would have paid $30 million if they could have gotten the recruits for, say, $10 million? He said, in my mind, that must have been what it took to sign them because they were bidding against other schools. That's a good point. I mean, all right, how do you arrive at that number? Well, obviously that's what it took to get, and that's all speculative. Of course, Jimbo said nobody paid anybody nothing, which is asinine because they got 7 5-stars. But Ed brings up a good point. Lou, what's your take on that?
I think Ed's got a good point. I think that there are people out there bidding, and I'm not naive enough to say Alabama's never been a part of that. Don't get it twisted in the least part here. But I do think that it's one of those things where, okay, you can do this. The whole point of NIL is when you get on campus, you can make your own money. And as I said, I think some people understand this as when they get on campus, we're going to try and give everybody sort of a base salary, whatever that is, whether it be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. And to me, that makes sense. And then whatever you make on your own is great. The problem comes when somebody is promising several other recruits $250,000 before they ever set foot on campus, before they ever do a thing. And then when you have to bid against that. And see, I do feel like, again, I think this is what Saban was saying, that he feels like A&M sort of set the bar so high that it's sort of impossible to reach. Now, there might be people out there going, hey, give them whatever money you want to. And I can live with that if that's what the NCAA, if that's what the group of schools want to do. But the rule is supposed to be you cannot use this for enticement. Now, here's what has backed up Saban even more recently. Number one, I thought it was going to be the opposite, but Steve Spurrier came out in very much defense of Nick Saban, which I thought was literally, I thought it was going to be the opposite. Spurrier backed him up. Secondly, the Greg Sankey came out and said, okay, what we have determined is that people are promising money that they shouldn't be promising. And that was Saban's whole crux of his argument, was that, you're not supposed to do it this way. You can do it. Nobody's against anybody getting paid. Let's also put that out there. Saban even went on to say very clearly, he's like, our kids are making several $1 million when they get here and they can use their name, image, and likeness. The problem is if you can do it before you get there, that's not supposed to be legal right now. But Saban is also saying if you want that to be legal, that's fine. We can do that too. But the problem is I think there are going to be very, very, very few schools that can even keep a program up at that rate.
No, that's exactly that's exactly what we've been talking about, Lou. If you'll just hang on with us, got to get to a break. We'll come back and we'll get some more insight in this because I think we're starting to get to the bottom of all this. It's where everybody just thinks you can just pay everybody whatever you want whenever you want, but there's a certain route that you're supposed to take, but we all know that there's no basically the loosey-goosey rules that are out there. People are exploiting that. Schools are exploiting that. But you're right. The sustainability in the end is going to be the issue. Up against another break. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
A&M Plumbing, A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
From the smallest drippy faucet to drain cleaning to water heater replacement to gas lines to total systems replacement, A&M Plumbing handles it all. Visit amplumbing.net today for the experienced, licensed, and insured pros at A&M Plumbing.
A&M Plumbing, A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
Okay, somebody's not wearing their seatbelt. I don't wear seat belts. Might wrinkle my shirt.
That's okay. I'm sure they can iron it before the funeral.
What funeral?
Yours. Almost 70% of people who die in car crashes aren't wearing a seatbelt.
Okay. There. You happy?
Just happy to be alive.
Seatbelts. It's hard to live without them. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal. The encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
It's time to crank for bank. April 1st through July 4th, you'll be fishing Lake Martin for a chance to win big. With a $100 registration, you'll be fishing for $1 million from Big Fish Real Estate Group and Point Broadband, a 2022 Bass Cat Bass Boat from Russell Marine, 2022 Skeeter Bass Boat from Ashley Outdoors, a 2022 Chevy truck from Lake Martin Cabinetry and Allen Embry Premier Chevrolet, or catch a $1,500 tagged fish. Brought to you in part by Dunning Roofing, Lake Martin Tourism, Mortgage Pro, Fishing Chaos, and Lake Broadcasting. Visit Crank, the number 4 bank.com for details.
Welcome back, everyone, here on the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Got Luke Robinson still with us on the phone line. And Luke, at the end of the day, what we just talked about off the air, it's like college football is going to eat itself to death if this is the case. And the teams that are trying to play the ironic thing, the teams that are trying to manipulate and spend the money and be the top of the heap, well, if it keeps going this way, they may be at the top of nothing because there won't be enough programs that can sustain the pace and the rate at which players and people need to be paid to keep this up. And all of a sudden you got 4 or 5 teams standing around looking at each other and college football doesn't exist any longer. And I mean, I'm being very serious when I say it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And college basketball will be next. I mean, it'll just have a domino effect. And, it was either Chris Lowe or Stuart Mandel. I can't remember which writer it was, but he immediately a lot of good writers started texting other head coaches they have contact with, like trying to get their feelings. And apparently Mike Leach texted one of those two guys back. I can't remember. I was following it on Twitter. And Mike Leach, basically what does Mike Leach think about this? He said, well, I think it's a bunch of, sound and fury signifying nothing for the most part. But he said, Nick Saban's right. This is unsustainable. And that should be the word that scares everybody. We all want college football. And look, we can all say, we all have our jokes. We all have our stuff about, just various people getting paid. We all have our stories. And we all know everybody's not Lily White. If you are Lily White, you're Northwestern. I mean, I think that, you are a team that is never in contention for much of anything. Or Vanderbilt. So I think we're all fine understanding that. But now when it gets to this next level, the worry becomes, how in the world do you ever police anything? And that's the scary part. Do we even, I blame all this. I really do. I blame all this on the NCAA. I blame it all on the current leadership in the SEC office and the various other offices that have not helped create clean guardrails. And Ivan Mizell had a great article where he said, I guess the guardrails are like everything else in this country. They're hung up in the supply chain. They're on back order because we don't have any. Nobody really knows what's right. And I think Saban kind of looks at the rules this way, like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. And I think some other coaches look at it like, well, this is what you're supposed to do. And I think Jimbo Fisher looks at it like, nah, I think we can do it this way. And again, I go back to some of the more interesting things Jimbo Fisher said in his rant, which, let's not get it confused, it was a rant. He said, I don't even know what my collective's doing. Does anybody in their right mind believe that? And if they do believe it, then you have to at least think he's being negligent towards his program. So it's funny how he went off on all these character traits, and frankly, I would think in terms of how you view SEC coaches in terms of character, he would be down at the bottom of most everybody's list. Am I wrong about that?
No, and let me say this. Let's just be conservative and say they spent $20 million on recruits. Are they going to do that next year? And the next year, I mean, this thing over time is going to tell us and show us where the direction is going. This is just the start. So Texas A&M spends $30 million, according to all sources except Jimbo, on these recruits. Well, you're saying at that pace you're going to have $100 to $120 million invested in the next 4 recruiting classes? I mean, give me a break. I mean,
well, and here's another thing, Brent. One more thing. I think we're also getting lost in the semantics of who's paying what. Okay,
yeah,
like the collective is supposed to be separate. You know, Auburn's got a collective, Alabama's got one, and M's got one. And they're supposed to be separate from the university, which I guess they are. I mean, but if you're going to tell me these various coaches don't know about them, I'm going to call you a liar. But if you look at Saban's example of what he's saying it should be, and I think this makes the most sense, that everybody, when you get on campus, each of your players, walk-ons and everything, should get a base salary of, you know, call it $20,000. I don't know what it is. Let's just call it $20,000. And then if you get money from another avenue, using your name, image, and likeness, so be it. Now, that number may be something ridiculous. It may be from, T-Town's Menswear for $20 million for Bryce Young. And in Texas A&M, they may be able to do it for everybody on their team, $1 million each from various oil companies. Now, Auburn will never be able to match that. In fact, Tuscaloosa will never be able to match that. But I'm fine with that way happening because that's more organic. If you think about in the pros, you know, if you're the quarterback, if you're Matthew Stafford, if you're the quarterback in Detroit, nobody's ever heard from you. But as soon as you go to L.A., you get all these mega deals because now you're in L.A. You're in a much more visible market. You're much more prime time. So it makes sense to me. But if you're saying that the school can essentially just pay these guys through their collective, then it's all about the boosters, which is what everybody was complaining about from the get-go.
I mean, it's a great summation. There's no doubt about it. I think that, you know, over time, like I said, this thing's going to play out, good or bad. And if something isn't addressed, if something isn't policed, then college football will go away. It's already gone away as we all know it, and it's moved into another shape and form. But the sport itself will dissolve at the level that it's at for most teams, with the exception of a few, if something isn't done. And look, there's nothing fair and equitable in this world, especially in a capitalistic society. There is not an equal amount of this to go along to make everybody to keep parity in the sport. So you've got to get out and grind and figure out a way to keep your program on the cutting edge. But it's just concerning to kind of see the direction.
I want to ask this too. At what point do you start to see professional organizations step in? Like, as if you're in the NFL and let's say your base salary is $700,000 a year,
and you start paying college.
Yeah, I mean,
players.
college kids are getting $1.2 million a year. So at what point does that impact what's happening from a salary standpoint on the professional level? Because if I'm, a guy's coming in making the base minimum, and I see that somebody at Alabama or Auburn or wherever it may be is making more than I am, that's going to cause friction too. So I think it's going to take a collective effort, for lack of a better term, to
no pun.
Yeah, no pun, to fix this, because it can't just be on the collegiate level. There's going to have to be some professional organizations that step in too and kind of guide and say, you can't continue to do this.
Well, going to have to do this in basketball as well.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you why I think that's not right. Because I think what it would be, nobody's going to make a salary as much as an NFL player. But their name, image, and likeness, which is, their marketing, they may make more than an NFL player. And in that regard, I can see a positive for the college game in that if you are a mid-tier guy, name an Auburn guy recently, Roger McCreary may be a good example. He was a borderline. People thought he was, sort of a second-round pick guy, and I think he ended up being in the second round, right?
Right at the beginning of the second round.
Okay, so he was sort of a second-round guy. But what about this? What if he was making $50,000 as his salary, $40,000 as his salary at Auburn. But somebody at Auburn was like, hey, look, you can go to the pros right now and you can do your thing and your salary will be more. But I'm going to give you $1 million if you'll just be my NIL guy this year. Then all of a sudden, Roger McCreary comes back. Auburn's better. Roger McCreary gets paid, and his salary is still comparable to everybody else on the team, so it doesn't create any friction. Because if you're on the team and you're a walk-on, you can't say, hey, why is he getting $1 million and I'm not? I go through the same practices. You know that because he's getting this money because of who he is, not because of because he's what he's earned, I should say. And I think that can be a positive. So I don't think the salaries are going to get out of whack with the pros, just like some of these other guys that are making a bunch of money using their NIL in the pros. They make a bunch more money selling their marketing rights than they do for their salary. And I think they're okay with that. And everybody's cool with that. Like, you sort of eat what you eat or eat what you kill. And then so the other side of this, one thing that you brought up, Brett, was about parity.
Right.
Everybody got on a kick about Nick Saban saying that. There's never been parity. He's not saying parity in terms of everybody go 6-6. He's saying what he said was, and he clarified this again in the video. He said, what I mean is everybody's got 25 scholarships. Everybody's got 85 scholarships. Everybody, has to play X amount of games. Everybody's got to play X amount of conference games of the conference they're in. That's what he means by parity. And what he's saying is, wait a minute, if one school can play, can say we can pay whatever our guys can, whatever our boosters can drum up is what we can pay, then that's going to really create you think there's a gap now? Just wait till that gap shows its ugly head, and it's going to be huge. So I think that's what he was alluding to. And because he's not stupid. I mean, he knows that Alabama's not the same as Purdue. I mean, come on. What he's saying is everybody sort of plays by the same set of rules. And then, of course, Florida and Texas and California have advantages over, Montana and Nevada and Washington, because there are not as many good players in those latter three states as there are in those former three states. So they have better to choose from, better product to choose from. So I think we're just, we've gone at this thing so fast that nobody's got a handle on it. And it's going to be a problem if we don't get a good leader in here very, very quickly.
Well, speaking of that, I think you kind of summed it up when you have an NCAA organization that said, look, I'll tell you what, we'll just send it to the courts and let them make a decision. And when the Supreme Court ruled that it was illegal for players not to be able to capitalize on NIL, then the NCAA said, okay, like a scorned child, take your ball and go home. And that's kind of how they've approached it, and they've kind of left it in the wilderness, and everybody else just having to pick up the pieces.
That's right. And it's a shame. Look, when you have a lack of leadership, this is exactly what happens. And the problem is the guys who really should be leading this thing, a guy like Nick Saban, who would be, I thought it was ironic. Jimbo Fisher kept saying he's the czar of college football. He kind of is. He kind of makes some sense. You may not like him. You may think he's a hypocrite. You may think he's a jerk. But it's hard to ignore the fact that in the end, he loves college football, and he wants the best for college football. Now, he wants the best for whatever team he's coaching, but he also wants the best for college football. And I think that that's very clear. And I think if he, were in charge of all this, I don't think we'd be having this problem right now. And the fact is, we got a bunch of guys up there who are Nimrod. They're not doing anything to make anything right. And it's ruining the sport we all love.
Well, at the end of the day, if you're a champion of something that don't matter, what does that championship mean? You want to be the champion of a league and an organization that has a bunch of other really good teams and that you've proven that you've gone out and beaten. If you beat a bunch of people that don't have the funds and don't have the means that you do, and it's so skewed in your direction over everybody else's, then what you've won's basically nothing. It's like running out there. It's like me and you, Luke, going out on the playground and playing a bunch of third and fourth graders and dunking the basketball and blocking shots and saying, look at us.
But that's what Alabama's been doing to the rest of the conference since Saban's been there. So that's where the Jimbo Fisher.
In fact, Scott, I would challenge that. It's more like when you win the SEC, which Georgia has done recently. Look, in the last 3 years, you've had, or in the last 4 years, you've had what? Georgia win it, Bama win it, LSU win it. Those three teams have won it, and they've all won it with really, really good teams. And it's all meant something. Like when you win the SEC, I think we all agree that's a big deal. When you win the ACC, I mean, it's usually Clemson and the Temptations, right? I mean, it's usually or the Pips. It's usually something like that. Now, this year was sort of the exception to the rule. Forever, it was Florida State and a bunch of nobodies. Lately, it's been Clemson.
Well,
and a bunch of
let me jump in.
Winning that conference hadn't felt the same.
Well, let me jump in there and kind of continue what I was saying. What I'm saying is that any of us want to be able to win something that matters, right? You want it to be competitive to that point. Now, going into what you said, Scott, from a perception standpoint, yeah, Alabama has dominated this league. I mean, there's some teams that Nick Saban hasn't even lost to, okay? Tennessee being one of them, which is asinine to think of. The problem with that is going back to the Jimbo Fisher thing. Okay, we all know that, and I don't know what Nick Saban and Alabama's done behind the scenes, but obviously they've been able to garner a lot of momentum based on results. And you know, NIL is important, but NFL is important too. And Jason Caldwell came on our program the other day and said, bottom line is, when you look at what Auburn's been putting in the NFL comparable to some of these other schools, that starts to weigh in the decision of some of these players, unfortunately. Okay? And now at the beginning, I think we can all agree when Nick Saban came in, I think Alabama probably had to do whatever they had to do, and they had to take some chances. And Nick Saban said, if y'all don't get me these players, I'm not going to be able to do anything. But once he got the momentum rolling and he dodged whatever bullet that was, then now the train's rolling down the track with all this momentum. There's nothing you can do. What Jimbo Fisher should have done is said, let me tell you what he's been doing. He missed the opportunity to say that. We were all sitting there with bated breath trying to wait to see what he was going to say about Nick Saban, and he chickened out and he didn't do it. So basically it was all a bunch of smoke and hullabaloo about nothing. And that's where, until somebody decides they're going to step out and call somebody out and say this is what he's been doing and this is how, that this is all just a bunch of hearsay. And then you got to dive right back in there and figure out how to play the game better than everybody else. If not, you're going to lose. Yeah. I mean, does that make sense?
There's a couple other ways to look at this, Brett. Number one, A&M has been, sort of an 8-4 school forever. I look back at some other people have done research about how many 5-stars they usually sign every year, and it's usually been about one a year. And then when NIL comes around, they sign 8 and the best class that's ever been recorded in 24/7 history. And we're supposed to believe that was pure happenstance, even though Jimbo Fisher's been there 4 years. Look at Auburn basketball. They've been the worst program in SEC history. And Bruce Pearl gets there and changes everything. It's sort of the same situation we were talking about with Saban. Once you get it rolling, things are fine. It's getting it kicked off. And if I were Jimbo, I would have said, you're dang right, that's what we did. We have the best collective out there. Bring your bad self home. We'll get all the money we can, because that's how we understand the rules. We understand the rules this way. This is not ambiguous to us. This is our reading of them. And then challenge the NCAA to come after him. Instead, he made it sound like he was oblivious to the fact that anybody is getting anything, which is crazy to me. He could have played this another way and come out smelling like a rose.
Well, I think we could probably go another hour on this and keep throwing this back and forth. I think there's some animosity because Jimbo Fisher does know how things were worked behind the scenes when Nick Saban built the program in Alabama. And so now the summation of all this is that now you get this NIL stuff, and Texas A&M, where Jimbo was wrong, is coming out saying, we ain't paid nobody. Come on, man. I mean, now you discredit yourself, because if you go back and look at how many 5-stars you had in the past 5 years, it doesn't equal the amount that you got in 1 year. So what flipped all of a sudden? Well, obviously there was an outlier element that came into play that changed all that. Okay, what happened back in 07, 08 for Nick Saban? Nick Saban comes in 07, goes 7-6. He's got a mess to clean up. All of a sudden in 08, Alabama gets every recruit they want. They kick Auburn's tail in state. That's when Tuberville exit stage left. And we went head-to-head with Alabama for 15 recruits, and we'd been getting our fair share up until that year, and all of a sudden we got 0. So it's not – so let's not all play stupid and act like, oh, all of a sudden everybody's just bought in, Nick Saban's going to do – something happened to change that momentum. So, but once the momentum gets going, it's hard to stop it. And so the people at fault are exactly what we just said to start this whole conversation. The NCAA's lack of deciding who they're going to punish, who they're going to go after, how they're going to handle situations puts us all in this predicament. That's where we are.
Well, and on top of that, I thought SEC Shorts had a great jab at the NCAA where they said, you know, then the mother, quote unquote, of Saban and Jimbo was admonishing them in this SEC Shorts, talking about how they need to get along. They're acting like children. And they said something about the NCAA, and she said the NCAA is a toothless organization.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay,
they're not going to punish anybody unless it's Missouri. And I think that's exactly right. I mean, we're all sitting watching this LSU thing unfold, going, hey, you know, how much more evidence do you need? And they're doing nothing. We're watching them daily do absolutely nothing to the bigger programs, which is just giving them all more confidence to do whatever they want.
Well, isn't that a conflict of interest? Isn't that a conflict of interest at the end of the day? Isn't that why all the bigger programs always get away with everything? I mean, seriously.
Yes.
I mean, because if they hammer Notre Dame, if they hammer Alabama, if they hammer these programs, then it's cut your nose off to spite your face. You lose money, all this kind of stuff. So it's not a separate governing body that's being objective and saying, look, we're going to look at everybody as equal. Because look at what Ole Miss got when Hugh Freeze was there. They got basically about as close to death penalty as you can get in the modern day. But you know what they were doing? They were having to play the game to keep up. Some people got mad about it, turned them in, and then NCAA threw the book at them. Other schools, we all know, do the same thing. They get nothing. So that's where the frustration and the animosity is coming from. That's why I thought Jimbo Fisher had a golden opportunity. Again, somebody's got to fall on the sword. If Jimbo's willing to fall on the sword, then and make the whole thing crumble, then so be it. But don't get upset when somebody points a finger at you and you come back with nothing.
But see, and with that, I think all of this comes back to the three letters you mentioned a few minutes ago that aren't NIL, and it's NFL. And it's what you said. You know, whatever took place in those initial years, that's what it was.
But now the train's rolling.
Credibility is there. They know now if you're going to Alabama, you're going to the NFL. Like more, if you need 1 year of being a starter, if you get 2 years in the Alabama system, you're first round pick. At worst, a high second round pick. So you don't have to do as much to recruit. And I think that's the other side of this too. Is
you gotta take a chance at the beginning and hope you don't get caught.
Yeah.
And once you do that, Nick Saban's like, look, I can prove I can keep this going, and I'll handle it from here. But I've got to have some help, and that's when it all started. I mean, I think that we can all agree. When you go back and look at that,
I would say this: the best way to handle this, if you ask me, and I want to say this one more point about the NCAA. I think they learned a little bit of a lesson, like you were talking about cutting off your nose to spite your face. When they hammered USC, has anybody out on the West Coast been the same since? Has West Coast football been the same since they ruined USC for a little while? I would argue it hasn't. I mean, Oregon was up there for a little bit, but they didn't have the sustainability. And the West Coast football has been just kind of a dump truck since then. But now, having said that, I think the best way to handle this, honestly, is to say, okay, guys, let's all get together and figure out what set of rules we're going to follow. Are we just going to pay everybody whatever they want through any means necessary? If that's the way we're going to do it, that's fine. We know we're going to sacrifice some smaller schools, even in the Power 5. Or are we going to say, it's name, image, and likeness when you get on campus. And if you go against this rule, you're going to get absolutely hammered. If we want to do it that way, that's fine too. But what we also need to do is say, this all starts now. Have you ever had one of those things where, if you're married, you've done this, where you get in a fight, you bring up old stuff, and you can't get to any of the new problems because you always bring up old stuff. If you're married, I promise you've had this argument where you go, hey, let's forget about the past, and we're going to start anew right now. This is the way it's going to be, so there's no more confusion. And I think that's the only way to handle this. If people keep pointing at, hey, this happened in 2007, well, this happened in 2004, well, this happened in 2013, we will never get to a set of rules that we can all agree upon. And I think we're going to have to understand with this new set of rules that there are probably going to be some sacrifices made in terms of smaller schools, but we're doing this for the betterment and the continuation of a sport we all care about.
Would it be safe to say that Dick Saban dodged all this at the time that he came into Alabama? He got the program going, he built it, got it rolling. Now this NIL stuff comes in 10, 12, 15 years later, and again, once you're on top, it's easy in this situation with transfer portal, NIL, it's easier to stay on top now than it ever has been. And that's not just Alabama, but maybe Georgia and some of these other schools and the ones that are trying to get back up there. And look, Auburn's got its own faults about inconsistency and up and down, because Auburn's had some really good years and they haven't been able to build on that momentum. But the schools that are at the top right now are the ones reaping the rewards. Let's just be honest about it.
I think that goes for any sport, with any coach, with anybody who's any good. I mean, I think that if you're from Nick Saban to Kirby Smart to Bruce Pearl to Will Wade to all of, they're all in there somewhere. To get to the top, you've had to do some things you probably aren't super proud of, but once it gets going, all of a sudden you can,
Right.
You don't have to do the sort of the things you had to do to get your hands in the muck in the beginning. I totally believe that.
I think that's a good point. Well, Luke, appreciate it, man. Good segments. We're way past a break, but thanks so much, man, and congratulations to Truett up there.
All right, congratulations, Braden. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, brother. Up against the break, stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
Sign Source is your local vendor for commercial and residential sign manufacturing and installation. We offer all kinds of lighted and non-lighted signage, from retail signs, LED message centers, event banners, vehicle wraps, the whole spectrum. We also offer service and repair on existing signs, as well as retrofitting to LED or installation of outsourced signage. We have the knowledge necessary to fulfill all of your signage needs in the short or long term. Visit signsourcenow.com to get started.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA. Now is the best time to sell your current home, as it's a seller's market, meaning that on average you can get up to 96% of your asking price. Who's the most aggressive and most experienced to help you sell your home?
Hi, I'm Rhonda Gaskins, broker Century 21 Lake Area Realty in the Lake Martin area. We are getting a 96% return on our listing price to sales price in this area. Call me today and let me go to work for you. 256-749-3644.
LMG Ad Agency is the go-to vendor for all your digital and print marketing needs. We have in-house production for all projects, including graphic design, web design, social media marketing, videography, and print marketing. Our video production is up to industry standard with modern 4K cameras and drone capabilities. We pride ourselves in client-committed relationships, and every project is personalized to your needs. Visit lmgadagency.com for a free quote today. Let us tell your story.
GillsOpelika.info. Get pre-approved in minutes online at GillsOpelika.info for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV from Gills Auto Sales, 1430 Gateway Drive in Opelika.
Welcome back, everyone. Saturday Sports Countdown. Believe it or not, I think we solved some stuff. And
Yeah,
all
that was a good conversation.
The reason I think I said that we solved some stuff, not that we're the end-all, be-all, but some of the things that were brought up and talked about in there is that we can all be honest with ourselves. Alabama fans can be honest. Luke can be honest and knows where this momentum started for Alabama. It's back 07, 08, and you get Drake Patrick and DJ Fluker and all those guys like that. You know, and you look at the history of where Auburn was in getting recruits with Tuberville. All of a sudden you go from getting, you know, half in the state to none. You know, then you felt it flip right then. And, you know, Alabama had been through the you know, the six fingers and everything else, and they were tired of losing. And, you know, back against the wall, they wanted to do whatever it took to get back on top. And, you know, in Auburn, on the flip side, for whatever reason, 2010, 2013, you know, it's the oddest 4-year stretch that you can look at. You go 2010, you win a national championship. 11 and 12 couldn't have been. 11, the record was decent, but against your major rivals, you just got killed. Just got drummed. And then you come back in 13 with a new coach, you make a run all the way back to the national championship again, which tells you that the pieces were there the whole time. There was just disarray and lack of ability to organize and keep everything going in the right direction, and you can only blame yourself when that kind of stuff happens.
It'd be funny to see how Trooper and Looper and who's the other coach, Thigpen, how they would be doing in this NIL world now, like how, because this seems like something to be right up their alley from a recruiting standpoint. But as you said, I mean, the pieces were there, and we were talking off the break. You know, if Auburn was in a position to have won that national championship in 13, you're looking at 2 championships in 4 years, and now you're competing.
But
it's you and Alabama.
You're right, but why was 11 and 12 such a fall off? You know, that's the thing, is that you go, you know, 2010, you win it, you finally get over the hump. Now, how do you fall off? 12's the worst season I've ever witnessed in my life. I mean, just literally 2 years prior to that, you won the whole thing. The next year, you go back and you go again and have a chance to win. And if Jimbo Fisher and illegal Jameis weren't in the way,
you get 2.
You know, you win again. So, I mean, I don't know. That's what frustrates Auburn fans more than anything. It's like, man, we get there and then we fall off, then we can get there again. Why can't we keep a consistent run?
Now, a lot's changed even since 2017. I mean, like, for us to make that run to the SEC championship, then it's been just, you know.
Been about as mediocre as you can get.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe Auburn's part of that cyclical talent level that we're talking about on the high school level.
But Auburn don't pick players from the community. I mean, they don't. It's not like they just get waves of talent. It's like, okay, Alabama can't get anybody but from Tuscaloosa, and Auburn can't get anybody but from Auburn. You got free reign to go out and get who you need, and that which leads to another issue. Where's Brian Harsin right now? And all this other stuff. Look, at least it's not negative about Auburn right now, but they ain't nothing to talk about. He ain't got any. I mean, we get the transfer from Memphis, but I said this yesterday to Andy on Auburn Blitz. When was the last time, you know, we had a top-tier high school recruit that we were excited about and just said, look, this is our, you know, and you got publicity, and that was what we've been used to. Since Harsin's been there, we haven't seen that.
We haven't, and my fear is that with combining with the transfer portal, NIL, and the shadow that will be over him and his staff and this team throughout this season, if Auburn's sitting there at 3-4, you know, or 2-4 or whatever going in, and say he's fired, or the writing's on the wall, nobody's coming at that point, because now you're starting the process back over again, and all the coaches are going to use that against you again. And from a booster standpoint, I'm not giving you any more money, so you know it could be a tough thing that takes place here.
It could be. Well, again, you gotta make your own luck sometimes, and that means everybody involved, from the boosters to the administration, the coach, got to work together at some point. If you got all these elements pulling against one another, the one thing that Alabama's got going for Saban up there is that he kind of controls it all. You know, he's the end all be all. Everything comes through him, and at Auburn, we got too many power brokers trying to be the boss, and I'm going to prove to him I'm in control. No, I'm going to prove I'm in control. And then, the fallout and the wash is the program itself. So, hopefully they can get that figured out and turned around sooner than later. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Saturday Sports Countdown. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of great comments that have come in, and great conversation this morning. This will be continuing on for the foreseeable future. So we'll be back with you next week for more Sports Blitz programming, and we hope you all have a fun and safe weekend out there. For Scott Hardy, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we've enjoyed it. We hope you have. See you next time.
Brubaker Motors in Montgomery is the largest and fastest growing used car dealership in the River region. You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker. It's better at Brubaker.com.
Brubaker, Brubaker.
You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker.
BREWBAKER. BREWBAKER.com.
It's better at Brubaker.com.
At CNT Electric, our clients are our priority. For the safety and security of your family and home, our technicians are professionally trained, drug tested, background checked, and wear uniforms with name tags. We're proud to have served the Elk City, Dadeville, and Lake Martin areas for the past 10 years. Give us a call at 256-234-0007 for all your electrical service and repair needs, or visit us on the web at www.cntelectricllc.com and spell out the word "and."
For almost 10 years, there's been the go-to place for tires and automotive repair, Wright Tire. Wright Tire sells all makes of tires for anyone's vehicle and anyone's budget, and with Wright Tire, you always get the right prompt service with the right price. Wright's Tire also can handle all of your bumper-to-bumper automotive needs with certified brake service, alignment, oil changes, tune-ups, and so much more. So when you want tires and automotive done right, see Wright Tire on West Fort Williams in the heart of Sylacauga. Right work, right price, every time.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
Don't miss the Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show presented by America's First, May 20th through the 22nd. It's the South's largest in-water boat show featuring pontoons from Bennington, Sun Tracker, Silver Wave, Bentley Starcraft, and Avalon. Plus fishing boats from Carolina Skiff, Tracker, Ranger, Nitro, Express, wake boats from Mastercraft and more. Fireworks Friday night, lake lifestyle vendors, live music, and a free concert Saturday night featuring country superstar Tyler Farr. Admission is free. Go to LoganMartinLakeFest.com.
Become a member of the Superior family. Superior GMC Cadillac, Superior Hyundai, or Superior Automotive Pre-Owned. Between our 3 dealers in East Central Alabama, we offer the superior selection and service for any buyer's needs. All with the personal touch of being locally family-owned and operated. Check out any of our dealers online, or our 3 great lots in Anniston on Quintard, or our pre-owned Superstore Pell City, and join the Superior family of value.
So, you finally got the boat, ATV, or side-by-side of your dreams, huh? But make it yours with marine-grade audio that'll provide crisp, high-quality sound that's loud enough to be heard, whether you're cruising on the lake or hitting a mud hole. Come see Steve at the Car Stereo Shop in Auburn, so you'll be ready to crank up the volume. Whoa, but wait, you don't have to pull out of the water and trailer it to Auburn. The Car Stereo Shop can handle all of your work at any one of the Lake Martin marinas.
Finding a job might be tough, but starting your new career has never been easier. Wellborn Cabinet in Ashland has a wide array of career opportunities with benefits. General labor production, skilled cabinet builders, product assembly line, shipping, over-the-road truck drivers, clerical, marketing, security, daycare, office clerks, and so much more. Apply in person, 38669 Highway 77 South in Ashland, or online at wellborn.com. Building cabinets, building careers, and building our community.
At Russell Medical, our transitional care unit is a great alternative to nursing home care after a medical or surgical hospital stay. Transitional care increases strength and endurance through skilled nursing and therapy programs to promote a safe return home. Enjoy on-site therapy, private rooms, an activity center, and more. Call Russell Medical today to see if our transitional care unit is the right care for you.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
Something big is coming. Something so big, it'll change the world of chicken sandwiches. Zaxby's new signature sandwich with Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce, because the chicken sandwich war ain't over yet. The new signature sandwich. All the other little sandwiches can run along. We'll take it from here.
Tails are wagging and pets are bragging about Zoom to Groom. Columbus, Phoenix City, and Smith Station. Zoom to Groom comes to you. It's mobile pet grooming from the comfort of your driveway. Schedule your appointment now online at zoomtogroom.net or by phone at 334-740-9909.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
Hi, John. You have messages.
Not now, phone. I'm driving.
You know you want to text your friends.
Texting and driving is illegal. No distractions, period. People die that way. Eating, putting on makeup.
Scroll through your music?
Nope.
Your girlfriend just texted. She's bored.
Sorry, not worth dying for.
Good call. She seems a little clingy.
Don't text your life goodbye. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Are you looking for something really good for lunch? Are you tired of the same old fast food? Well, go to Buck's. Get a meat and 2 sides or a meat and 3 sides for the best deal in town. Buck's always serves up the best food, including fried chicken, wings, hamburger steaks, catfish, shrimp, and yes, of course, the famous Buck Cheeseburger Basket. And Buck's has dinner specials too. So if it's your turn to cook dinner, Buck's will be glad to do it for you. We appreciate your business and look forward to serving you.
Whoever you are, wherever you race, hit the track like a champion. The YZ250F and the YZ450F Monster Energy Yamaha Racing Editions. Only from Yamaha.
Fast, fresh, and friendly. That's the Allen Brew Market mission to our customers on the go. Allen Brew Markets of Talladega County fuel your vehicle and you with the best coffee, drinks, snacks, and food, so you can get your day on the fast track. Allen Brew Markets are always convenient with Sylacauga locations on Main Avenue, Highway 280, and Old Birmingham Highway. Allen Brew Markets has everything for the family on the go, and we're always brewing up great specials. Fast, fresh, and friendly. Our guarantee to you.
Tails are wagging and pets are bragging about Zoom to Groom. Columbus, Phoenix City, and Smith Station. Zoom to Groom comes to you. It's mobile pet grooming from the comfort of your driveway. Schedule your appointment now online at zoomtogroom.net or by phone at 334-740-9909.
Don't be caught in a dirty vehicle. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing will have your vehicle or boat looking like brand new in no time, and you'll be back driving in style. They specialize in detailing, paint correction, gel coat restoration, and ceramic coating. Take it to the professionals at Lake Martin Mobile Detailing. Call them today at 256-794-2328 or stop by and see them at 702 McCarty Road in Dadeville. Mention this ad and receive $10 off. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing for your cleanest vehicles around.
Brubaker Motors in Montgomery is the largest and fastest growing used car dealership in the River Region. You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker. It's better at Brubaker.com.
Brubaker, Brubaker.
You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker.
BREWBAKER. BREWBAKER.com.
It's better at Brubaker.com.